Hey guys, it's Andrew BHA here bringing you a new video. So it's been a couple of weeks since I did a video. We had a lot of weather issues going on around here, and so things are obviously getting back to normal now, and I thought it was definitely time to get out a new video. So as you can see here, the great folks over at Zooz sent me over some of their 700 series Z-Wave smart switches. So this one in particular is the Zen 77 model S2 dimmer. And interestingly enough, they're not even listed on their website yet, but they are showing up on the Smartest House website, so that is what I am showing here. And so we're going to go ahead and take a look at it and see what all we can do with it, and see if we can't get this thing up and going and set up in Home Assistant. Along with, of course, Smartthings, which is how I handle all my Z-Wave products. And so we'll go through all that whole setup and see what we got. Here we go. So this product being so new, it's not even available everywhere for sale yet, as far as I can tell. But you could pick it up at the Smartest House on their website for under 30 bucks. Looks like $28.95 plus tax. So if you're looking to get your hands on one right now, then that is definitely a place to go. I'll have the link in the description below so that you can check it out for yourself. So let's do a quick run through of everything we're going to cover in this video. So of course, for starters, we're going to go through our regular unboxing of the device. Once we do that, then of course we're going to install the switch in the wall and kind of walk through how all that is set up. After that, I'll get it added into Smartthings, which of course is how I manage my Z-Wave products. After that, we'll get that moved over into Home Assistant. And lastly, I'll kind of show you what that looks like in action. So let's get started. Alright, so here of course is the box. It's the regular black and green box that they normally have all of their products. Is the S2 dimmer. This is their new 700 series. I think the model number exactly is Zen 77. And of course this is their dimmer switch. It will work in 3-way and 4-way and even like 5-way setups with just a single switch. And they have the configurations, I think, in instructions and stuff inside to show you how all that is done. But super cool that that is set up that way. Obviously, in the first generations of these, you had to actually have like 2 smart switches in order for those to work. And this, of course, keeps you from having to do that. Now, my installation that we're going to do today will not involve a 3-way scenario, but I do have another video coming out pretty soon where we'll walk through setting up one of those. And as you can see, this will handle the dimmable bulbs. For LED, I think is up to 100 watts, like it says here, and for incandescent bulbs, up to 300 watts. Let's go ahead and get this thing open. I love how it lists all of the different setups that you can basically get instructions on how to do straight with QR codes right there within the box. There's Smartthings, Habitat, Vera, and Wink, which are a lot of your more common hubs that are out there right now. But inside the box, you get basically the instructions on how to wire and set it up. And they even give you stickers to label your wires. So if you're not used to knowing what wires are what inside your electrical box, you can certainly mark everything before you unhook it from your existing switch. So that's pretty cool as well. Other than that, they give you a little extra neutral wire here that you can use in case you need the extra length to make everything fit. And as you can see here, I've lined it up next to just your regular standard non-smart switch here. And the size difference as far as depth is actually pretty much the same. So that's pretty nice how they've kind of compacted everything into a small enough switch where it's not going to take up too much more additional space from a regular switch. All right, so just to kind of go over the specs one more time, as you can see everything listed here, and just a reminder, this is of course, 120 volts on the power, and the maximum load for those bulbs is 100 watts for LED, 300 watts for incandescent. For the Z-Wave, it'll handle up to 200 feet line of sight, and of course the frequency is 908 0.42 megahertz here in the US. Obviously, the installation is indoor only. I certainly wouldn't want to install this outside anyway. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step and get this thing installed in the wall. Alright, so my plan for this switch is to install it in my office. Currently, I have one of these touch smart switches from Smart, which, don't get me wrong, it's great. This was a combo switch. In fact, I did a video on this a while back. I'll have the link up here at the top so you can check it out for yourself if you're interested in this switch. But I'm not a big fan of it overall. The more I've had it, I just like the ability to be able to kind of walk into a room and feel for the switch without having to look at it and touch it. And of course, these touch panels like this just don't really allow that because, of course, you have to be able to see what you're hitting and everything else. So just not quite as happy with that as I wanted to be. So we're going back to the regular smart switch here from Zooz, which I think will work out better. Because I'm replacing two switches, for the other switch, I'm just going to throw in a sewn-off basic with a regular Decora switch there on the other side so that I can still control both of them remotely. Alright, so since this setup was kind of strange originally, basically I had to cut a hole in a blank wall plate so I could mount that other combo switch to it. We're going to remove that combo switch from the wall plate first. Then, of course, once I do that, I'll be able to remove the wall plate and actually get in there to the actual wiring. So I kind of got everything out of the way now. I can kind of unhook all of the wiring from the switch and get this old switch out of the way. All right, get this thing out of here. All right, so now we are ready to get the new switches installed. All right, so I've kind of skipped ahead of this because it wasn't out of the scope of this video, but as you can see, there is a sewn off basic kind of wrapped up with electrical tape there just to kind of keep it everything kind of concealed down there at the bottom of that wall box. And before I go any further with this, guys, I am by no means a professional electrician. So first things first, you definitely want to make sure you turn off your breaker before you're messing with any kind of electrical wiring at all. Secondly, do your own research on your setup and what needs to be done and how you should properly wire everything. Do not necessarily follow my instructions because, like I said, I am not a professional and don't want to be responsible for burning anybody else's house down or anything like that. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and get the Zooz switch installed here. So obviously the white wire will be for our neutral. Go ahead and tighten that down. The red is the line going out to the light, and of course the black will be the load with all the power coming into it. Now once I get this tightened down, I'm going to go ahead and flip the breaker back on just to make sure that everything works as it should. before I get too much further into it. I certainly don't want to hook everything back up and then flip the breaker back on and find out that something came disconnected. As you can see in the back there, just faintly, the little light on the Sonoff Basic is blinking. So obviously the power is turned back on. It looks like the Sonoff Basic is already working. So we're going to flip this other switch just to make sure that everything is good on the Zooz switch. And looks like the lights are going on and off. So we are good to go. Everything seems to be functioning as it should. Now what I'm going to do next is I'll flip off the breaker one more time. We'll go ahead and get everything kind of screwed into the box and pushed back in as it should. Once I get these installed, then of course I will flip the breaker back on again to make sure that of course everything is still functioning and we haven't screwed anything up in the process of pushing it all back into the box. Everything still seems to be working as it should, so we're going to go ahead and put the wall plate back on, and we are pretty much done, at least as far as the installation into the wall box. We're ready to move on to the next step and get this thing set up in Smartthings. Alright, so to take advantage of the advanced features in Smartthings, of course, they have a custom device handler that makes that possible. And so we've kind of gone through this setup on some of our other videos as far as setting up the device handlers in Smartthings, but we'll go ahead and go through it again this time as well. And again, I'll have the link to all the instructions and everything in the description below. But basically, we're going to hit this link here and log into Smartthings. Once we're logged in, we'll go over to creating a new device handler. We'll say from code. Once we get there, we'll jump back over to the instructions. There's a link there that you can go to get all of the code that you needed to paste into the device handler. We'll select all that here, copy it, and then of course paste it here in the box. Go ahead and hit create, and then of course we'll save and publish it. At that point we should be good to go. Let's jump over to our phone now and get this thing set up in the Smartthings app. So here we are on the Smartthings app. We're going to go ahead and do a search for brand. We'll look for Zooz. Select that one. Let it go through its whole little setup and find the device. Hit the top of the switch 3 times to put it in pairing mode for Z-Wave. Alright, so it says scan the QR code on the device. So I forgot to make a copy of the QR code that was on the switch itself, but luckily they have a copy of that sticker on the box. And so let me go over here to the box. We'll scan it from there. And here we go. It is successfully added. We'll go ahead and give it a name since it's in my office. I'm pretty generic. I'm just going to call it Office Light. But there we go. And we'll just kind of run through the all the different settings that you get with this custom device handler. So of course you have your standard turning it on and off. You can set a timer now. There's your dimmer, and it even tells you what firmware it's currently on. If you go up here and hit the 3 dots in the corner up there, you can choose settings, and then there's a whole ton of other stuff that you can do with it. So you can change the LED light that's on there at the bottom of the switch to basically come on when the switch is off, come on when the switch is on. You can have it always on or always off. I like to have it come on when the switch is off. It's kind of like a night light. You can even change the color to like 3 or 4 different options here. By default, it's blue, which is what I usually like, but there is white, green, and red as well. And I didn't even realize that they allowed you to change the brightness of that. Surprisingly, it's only at 60%, so you can go all the way to 100 if you wanted to. And then, of course, as for the night light, you can set it to it's set by default to just 20%. But as you can see, there's tons of other stuff here for different settings, whatever you want to set it to. They even have some like a single tap up, which by default just goes to the last brightness that it was set to, which I think is pretty standard. Double tap basically takes it to full brightness, but you could set those to do other things if you would rather. They even have an option to change the paddle orientation to where no matter what you click it, it either turns it, it just toggles it up or down, which I thought was interesting. But that kind of runs through all of the settings and of course shows you how to get it added into Smartthings. At this point, I think we're ready to move on to the next step and get it set up in Home Assistant. Alright, so let's get this thing added. And if you recall from my past videos, it's super easy with the Smartthings integration. We're basically going to go into integration section of Home Assistant. We'll hit the 3 dots down here and say reload. Just say okay. At this point, you should be able to click on your devices and it will have found the newly added Zooz switch here, office light. And of course, it is functioning. You can't necessarily see that, but it is working. And of course, you have the ability to click on it and go into settings, and then you can change the brightness there as well. So we are good to go. We've got it added into Home Assistant. It was that quick. Let's move on to the last step, and we'll see it in action. On the left is the actual switch in Home Assistant. Of course, we'll just change the brightness down, and as you can see, the light immediately goes down. We'll bring it back up, and it's pretty instantaneous. And of course, if you flip it on and off, let's see, we'll flip it off, it should go right off, and then come right back as well. But that's pretty much it, guys. It's working as it should, as plenty of our other Z-Wave devices do work. And it's pretty responsive and communicates fairly quickly with Home Assistant. But that's the end of the video, guys. That is the new Zooz Zen 77 S2 dimmer, part of their 700 series. So you'll definitely want to check those out if you haven't already. Let's do a quick run through everything we covered in this video. So of course, for starters, we unboxed the device. Once we did that, we installed the switch in the wall. Once that was done, we got it added into Smartthings, and after that, added into Home Assistant. Lastly, I showed you what that looks like in action. So if you haven't had a chance, jump over to getzooz.com or even the Smartest House and check out all the Zooz products that they have to offer. There's tons of other Zooz gear out there. If you're looking for something else, you'll want to see what all they have. I'll have the links to their sites in the description below. As always, I want to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, jump over to the Burns Home Automation Teespring page and check out all of the Burns Home Automation merchandise. And of course, if you're still looking for a VPN service, hit the link in the description below for IP Vanish and see what they have to offer. I'm currently working on a video with Robinhood API, and I haven't got it put together just yet. But if you're interested in buying and selling stock, hit my link in the description below for Robinhood.com, and you and I both will get a free share of stock. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. As always, if there are any videos out there that you would like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around.